Hello and welcome to the Voice of Liberty podcast. Tonight I want to talk about radical change. And I want to talk about fixing the system that we are seeing crack. Now, depending upon who you talk to, some people will admit, right now we are witnessing capitalism fail. We are witnessing the system of government we live under. We are witnessing how we live just completely fail. It was failing leading up to the virus, let's be honest. Systemic racism, injustice, the fight between Republicans and Democrats, everything was failing leading up to the virus coming to America. But the virus exacerbated the situation. It made it worse, and it rapidly expanded the issues that became very present. Even now, as we're coming into talks of reopening, talks of evictions, talks of people losing their health care, people not being able to pay for food, questions about how to pay for education, how to even accomplish education. We're now starting to have discussions about the system not working. It's being proven right now that this system that America lives under does not work. It's becoming clear why other countries, their system is 100% different. So let's talk about, let's start right with healthcare. You know, it's the most contentious topic. It's the topic that you hear everybody talking about: Medicare for all, universal basic health care. You know, all these talks right now are on how to ensure that everybody has health care. In a capitalist system, you buy and pay for your health care, and it's treated as a commodity. In the capitalist system we live under, and I'm explaining this just to recap this, your level of health care provided and available to you is based upon how much you can pay for it. And then from there, what that insurance company will cover for you. How can we fix that? How can we radically change that without even expanding the size of the government? How can we change that, all the way down to a local level without at all affecting the size of the government in an expansive way? It's pretty simple. Let's start talking about decommoditizing healthcare. Healthcare is one of those things that I honestly question why it's bought and sold. I honestly question why the system we live under, we allow things like this to be bought and sold. If we were able to trade labor for labor or goods for goods, we could radically change the costs of healthcare and almost guarantee that everybody's quality of healthcare would go up. This is how the world worked for hundreds of years. This is how things went. Why did we think that we could step away from this and create a whole new system? That it just does not make sense to me. We could radically improve the lives of everyone around us by talking about how to change our approach to buying and selling healthcare, our approach to trading healthcare. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is housing, because this is a huge thing right now. Right now, America is facing potentially facing one of the largest homeless crises it will ever deal with. The largest eviction crisis it will ever deal with. The largest foreclosure crisis it will ever face. Americans, roughly 40 million of them, are at risk of losing the very homes that sustain their life. And why? Because for some reason in this country and just about any other country, owning land requires you to buy it as a commodity. It's bought and sold. It's traded as a commodity. Where in this country we have enough land that everybody could share and partake and own a piece of land without having to pay a dime. Right now, if that existed, we would not be facing the largest homeless crisis this country has ever seen. We would not be facing the largest eviction crisis or foreclosure crisis this country has ever seen. because everybody wouldn't have to worry about making payments. Nobody would have to worry about paying rent or paying back rent. No one would have to deal with the idea and the fear of not only facing a global pandemic that is still raging. I don't care what you say that it's not. It is. People would have one less burden on their shoulders if we just approached housing as a basic necessity to life that should not be bought and sold as a commodity. Food, it's very much the same way. Food and drink, they are natural necessities to life. You need that to survive. For some reason, capitalists don't seem to understand this. For some reason, people on the right just don't get it. That these are necessities to sustaining life. Why is food bought and sold as a commodity? Why is something as basic as water bought and sold as commodity? This right here, what I'm drinking, yeah, it's bought and sold as a commodity. This isn't a necessity to life. It's just something that makes life a little more enjoyable. But food and water, in the ultimate society, in my ultimate society, my ultimate anarchist, my ultimate libsock society, food would not have to be bought and sold as a commodity. Take what you need and leave some for someone else. The community comes together and they pool their food together so that everybody has something, so that everybody's guaranteed that they won't go hungry. Same thing with water. We've seen examples of this. We've seen examples where people were able to pool food together to ensure that everybody had a meal. The Chaz, that had that system. The systems existed at different points in history and still exists in some European countries. There's little autonomous zones within some of the, within, for example, Denmark. There are 2 autonomous zones that I know of where the community pools their food together, where everybody's guaranteed a meal. They don't have to worry about going hungry. They don't have within these little communities a crisis where no one is fed, where people are starving. Unlike right now in America, where certain people are facing the problem of not being able to get food and not being able to afford it. See, food being bought and sold as a commodity requires you to pay massive amounts of money for the most basic things. See, the tomatoes we can grow in our backyard, we can grow them for pennies on the dollar. But they're sold in the stores, 6-packs for $5, 6-packs for $8. The cost of food is going up right now because there's a shortage. The cost of food going up is causing people to not be able to afford to eat healthy. And that's going to cause long-term health problems that far exceed that of the virus. In the ultimate society, this would not be a problem. Healthy food, organic food, that would be available to everyone. And the last thing on the list, education. Everybody always talks about education. Everybody always talks about having a quality education. When education is not bought and sold as a commodity, when you're able to trade your labor and your worth for a education, you could actually potentially get a excellent education for little to no money out of your pocket. When the community realizes that working together and ensuring that everyone is properly educated, that is how we build a strong community. Right now, education in America is a joke. Education in America, it's laughable in comparison to the rest of the world, the industrialized and developed world, I should say. We need to think about radical change. See, as I've said already, and I know this is going to make people on the right very uncomfortable. I know this is going to make anarcho-capitalists extremely uncomfortable. But the system's failing. The system doesn't work. We've noticed under this COVID-19 crisis, that the people who are okay, and the people who are surviving comfortably, are the capital owners, the owners of corporations, the owners of big businesses. We're noticing that the people who own these essential businesses, they were taking money in hand over fist, while their workers were putting in more work than they even were prior to the virus and not being paid any extra. They're the ones that survived off of this. While the workers for those companies and those who couldn't work because of the virus, they're facing monumental crisis. The people that will come out of this okay are the capital owners. The people that will come out of this okay are the capitalists. You as a worker, you're not a capitalist. You aren't. You're a wage slave. That's plain and simple. You are paid a fraction of the value of your labor. And right now, you're in a hazardous situation, especially if you work retail. You're in a hazardous situation where the value of your labor is monumental. The things you're doing are insane, and you're not being paid for it. It's time to bring radical change, to fix the system. Let's be honest. Anarcho-syndicalism, or libertarian socialism, or anarcho-capitalism. Which one's been tried and actually practiced, and which one has actually succeeded? Unfortunately for you guys, it's not anarcho-capitalism. It's never been tried. It's never succeeded. So let's start looking at how we all can survive together and change the quality of life for everyone. This episode's not going to be one that you're going to want to listen to if you're on the right. And at this point, if you have, your blood's probably boiling at me. And I'm unapologetic about that. Because if anything, during this crisis, I have noticed myself become more and more intolerant of the capitalist system. Because it's not helping any of us. So be a voice of liberty. Awaken the voice of liberty and bring radical change and make your life better.